Guys, it's Tommy here from Saleslucky, and today we are going to be talking about a classic text. Um, this is one of the people that has influenced my life incredibly, and you might have heard his name, you might have read his work. His name is called Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he is no ordinary writer. When I read his writing, it was written in the 1800s, so first of all, I have to read it with a dictionary on a different tab. But when I do read it, and I do decipher it, and when I understand, every other line is like mind-blowing for me. It's like mind-boggling. I get an epiphany. And today I'll be sharing with you his essay on self-reliance and what it has to do with sales, okay? I'm just going to read you a few snippets. And the first snippet that I'll share with you is that Ralph Waldo Emerson says, every great person is unique. Full stop. Okay? Now, not unique in the sense that they might have something that you don't inherently or anything like that, but in the sense that they are not afraid to be themselves. They are not afraid to own themselves, to be their authentic selves. And I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, be yourself or know yourself. But we can all tell when somebody's truly being themselves, and it's inspiring. We feel comfortable around it. If you resonate with it, you'll feel comfortable around it, and we feel drawn to it. We feel attracted to it. And I'm here to tell you that the best people in the world, whether their profession is literally selling or not, whether they're a leader or business executive or whatever, or an entrepreneur or a rapper or an artist or an athlete, every great person is unique, is themselves, and they're not afraid to be themselves. They're not afraid to have their own personal brand. They're not afraid to represent what they stand for. Okay? And again, this is true for any great artist, any great rapper, poet, businessman, salesman, athlete. You're not going to find a great person who is a copycat of someone else. Copycat in the sense that, not that they model their strategies or whatever, but copycat in the sense that they're trying to be someone else. Every great salesperson is unique. Like every great person in any profession is unique. They have their own unique views, beliefs, perspectives, and they're not afraid to share that, okay? Number one. Number two, to expand on that, for me growing up, actually, I'll share with you this. Number two, the second snippet I'll share with you is Ralph Waldo Emerson goes on to say, there is a time in every person's education when we arrive at the conviction that envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide. What does that mean? Let me break it down for you. He's saying that there comes a time in every person's life when they grow to realize this fundamental truth, that envy is ignorance. In other words, we've all had the experience of looking at someone else's life, and whether it's posts on Instagram or social media or whatever it might be, and thinking, man, like, I want that, and start to get envious or jealous or whatever. But what Ralph Waldo Emerson is saying is that instead of looking at the other person and getting envious, by doing that, what you're actually doing is being ignorant of the great gifts, talents, potential, and capabilities that God, the universe, Mother Nature, whatever you believe in, gave you. And this was a big realization. This is a big epiphany for me, that when I saw somebody with something that I wanted, I realized that I have the capability within myself, the gifts, talents, resourcefulness, and the inherent qualities within me to create that version of which I desire in my own life. I hope that makes sense. It's like having your own farm, having your own field, And instead of thinking the grass is greener on the other side, this is what my good friend and internet marketer Tuan V says. The grass is not greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Okay? If you water your own talents, harness and develop your own potential and capabilities and skills, you will be very, very surprised, and you will recognize that you have the qualities within you to be very successful in what you do, whether it's sales, whether it's building a business, whether it's marketing, whatever it is. And this kind of goes on to my previous post about being an introvert in sales. Can you be good at sales as an introvert? And this is directly speaking to that. If you're looking at that extrovert and doing what he or she is doing, there's no need to be envious, because you have the natural capabilities and talents within yourself to be successful, your own gifts, your own talents. And to be envious of someone else is merely to be ignorant of that fact. So once we realize that, we can realize that if we water the grass in our own field, we already have the latent capabilities to be successful and create that version of success and that vision of what we desire for ourselves. The second piece of that is he says imitation is suicide. So there comes a time in every person's education, when we arrive at the conviction that envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide. In the same way, when I started out in sales, I would kind of see what other people were doing and try to model other people. And while modeling is good, you don't want to try to be like someone else. And I think we all realize at a point in our lives when, like Ralph Waldo Emerson says, imitation is suicide. If you try to be exactly like your neighbor, like that your coworker who's saying exactly what they're saying, and they're being themselves and they're using their personal examples that's true for them, and letting their personality show, but your personality is completely different, that is like suicide. Suicide in the sense that you're shooting yourself in the foot by not being yourself. There's, when I look at successful sales reps, any company, what I do is I try to take what I think the concepts and the principles of what they're doing and take that and see if it can work for me. If I think it can work for me, I'll use that. If I feel like it's not my personality, it's not my core values, and it's not resonant for me, I wouldn't do that. And that's what I want to share with you guys in a sales context, okay? And part of this, just to share, is, growing up, I came from an immigrant family, and we immigrated first from China to Canada, then to the United States. And when I was a kid, oftentimes I personally didn't feel like I fit in. And what that taught me as a consequence was to stand out, okay? And if you feel like that, if you feel like growing up you didn't really fit in 100%, you didn't really fit in here or there, and you didn't really feel like you fit in 100%, maybe it was because you were meant to stand out. Maybe that was why. And once I accepted that for myself, I realized the power of being yourself, the power of being myself. And I've shared consistently that whether it's in sales or in other areas of life, developing friends, building relationships, and even dating, the more that I let myself be myself, the more quote unquote success that I saw. It was when I stopped trying to be like someone else that things really started working. Things started really resonating with the people that was supposed to resonate with. And the final point that I'll share with you is, the snippet that I'll share with you here is, Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "It truly demands something godlike in them who has cast off the common motives of humanity and has ventured to trust themselves for a taskmaster. Your genuine action will explain itself and will explain your other genuine actions. Your conformity explains nothing. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Insist on yourself. Never imitate. Trust thyself." every heart vibrates to that iron string. Basically, what this is saying is to trust yourself, to be yourself, and to be authentic, because people resonate with that. When you trust yourself and say really what you mean and feel, and in your gut you know is right, and you know what I'm talking about in that moment, and you say it, people resonate with that. And it's true in regular life just as it's true in a sales conversation. Okay, so be real, be authentic, be yourself. And as you know, I've shared in previous posts, here at Saleslucky, two of our core fundamental core values that we stand for are authenticity and diversity. So we do not stand for conformity. We stand for being yourself, knowing yourself, and being authentic to that. And we celebrate the differences of different cultures, different people, different backgrounds. And you know, if you didn't fit in, we celebrate that, because we celebrate individuality and uniqueness, okay? So I hope you guys got value out of this video. I hope this video helped explain, even if a little bit, Ralph Waldo Emerson's essay on self-reliance and what it has to do with sales. And remember, when you be yourself, when you're authentic in your sales conversations, and you know yourself, you will see that much more success, not only in winning deals, but in life as well, okay? Hope you guys got value out of this, and I will chat with you guys soon.